Hello there. On this episode of Work with Ria Liakwe, I will be dealing with the issue of Boko Haram. Before I get started, I want to state here that I will conceal the real name and identity of some of the dramatic personnel that are vulnerable in the society. So here it goes. Late Malak Achala is the first governor of Borno State in the Fourth Republic. He became Borno State governor on the 29th of May 1999. He rode on the political war chest of Alimodu Sheriff, who was his political godfather and also a senator representing Borno State. No sooner had the two ascended their exalted offices than they became strange bedfellows. As the resultant political war between Alimodu Sheriff and Malak Achala made it virtually impossible for the man to perform in office. He didn't meet the yearnings and expectations of his subjects. What are those yearnings and aspirations of the people of Borno State in the time of Malak Achala? One could ask. They are such that Islamic Administrative and Legal Code is fully declared on the territory, administered in such a way that is done in climes like Saudi Arabia and the likes. A Sharia situation whereby one can go to school free of charge. There are welfare programs such as even a tent at every major junction of the society where one can get essential commodities. When a person in such an environment undertake a business endeavor with a loan from the government, if the person can genuinely prove that such money did not go well in the business, it can not just be forgiven but also given another chance. Those were some of the yearnings of the people of Borno State. Though between 1999 and 2003, that the people of Borno State considered the administration of Malak Achala as a failure, Sharia law was declared in Zamfara and other parts of the north. Those states that operated Sharia between 1999 and 2003 fell short of its delivery. Hence, the agitation for a change intensified. By 2003, when political parties were lining up for another general election, a general election to elect new leaders and possibly change the prevailing leaders, Senator Alimodu Sheriff was more appealing to the people of Borno State than Malak Achala, his estranged godson. He grabbed the ticket of the then ANPP, which at his national convention had metamorphosed or changed its name into ANPP and became the governorship candidate of the party. Malak Achala was left with no choice than to decamp to AD, a relatively unknown party in Borno State. The result of the election were a foregone conclusion. Alimodu Sheriff won effortlessly and became the new governor of Borno State. But just like his predecessor in office, he made little or no impact on the life of his of the lives of or on the lives of the electorate that elected him into office. As a result of that, the agitation was growing. Agitation for a better deal kept growing until 2007. By 2007, when Ali Modu Sharif was seeking second term in office, certain groups had emerged as pressure groups that were ready to play significant role in the impending election. One of such groups was led by Mohammed Yusuf, and his Islamic name was, or rather, still is Jama'atu al-Sunnat lil Dawatu al Jihad, meaning a congregation of faithful, proactive in the words of Prophet Muhammad, and also holy war. The group was not mistaken on its objective and agenda. They were out to choose a leader that was pious in its real sense as defined by Islam. The acceptability and popularity of the group had made Ali Modu Sharif to curry their favor. Somehow, he was able to win Mohammed Yusuf to his side. Though Mohammed Yusuf was left with little or no option when he considered the second major party in the state that could have won the 2007 election, which was PDP, and his candidate Kashim Imam as less worthy or at par with Ali Modu Sharif. So he was left with little or no option than to go by Ali Modu Sharif, but to make stringent demand of him. Just like Ali Modu Sharif, Issa Yuguda, a former banking executive and minister in the regime of Obasanjo, was seeking gubernatorial election in neighboring Bauchi State. He was a PDP member, but during the convention to choose a governorship candidate for the state in 2007, he lost out in the primaries. He had immediately decamped to ANPP, the second most popular party in the state, to conceptualize his aspiration. Effortlessly, he won the ticket of ANPP. But the general election proved a daunting task to him. The incumbent party that had administered the state from 1999 to 2007 was on rampage. In order to break his rank and make furrow into the political heart of Bauchi State, just like Ali Modu Sharif, and even urged on by the latter, he sought the assistance and cooperation of the group Ali Modu Sharif chaired. The man Issa Yuguda was taken to task just by Mohammed Yusuf, just like he did to Ali Modu Sharif. He made them to sign on official declarations, which he considered were the demands and interests of the masses of the two states. Some of such interests were good and qualitative free education, microcredit schemes, meaningful agricultural practices that could engender better standard of living for the people. He never asked for money nor political patronage from the two aspiring governors. The election of 2007 produced the expected result in Borno State,
But in the case of Bauchi, it was surprising. Many had expected PDP to carry the day, but to the utmost disbelief of all, APC won. ANPP then won the election, and Issa Yuguda was returned the elected governor of the state. No sooner had Ali Modu Sheriff assumed office than he reneged on the promise he made to Mohammed Yusuf. Rather than carry out the program he deposed to, albeit unofficially, he offered the man a check for 150 million. Mohammed Yusuf roundly rejected the check, the money he was offered. Not just that, he was also disappointed. The premonition he had before the deal was reached, the premonition Mohammed Yusuf had before the deal he reached with Ali Modu Sheriff was that politicians in Nigeria are venal. They are unrealistic and unreliable. They are unreliable and unfaithful. But because at the ceremony to adopt Ali Modu Sheriff, they sworn by the Holy Quran. He had taken the man seriously. But now that he was behaving to type, not only was he disappointed, but he admonished him before he rejected his check. When he left the governor and returned to those he was leading on a mission of emancipation, he told them what happened. Just like him, they were disappointed. He did not stop there. He had nominated earlier, he nominated a minister into a commissioner into the new administration of Ali Modu Sheriff. The commissioner was designated to the Ministry of Information, and he was the mouthpiece of the administration. As a result of that and some other pertinent issues, he kept engaging the governor. But when it dawned on him that the governor's mind was made up to continue the old ways, he called a meeting of all his faithful, during which he admonished the commissioner to resign. The commissioner did promptly, but in the camp of the governor, that was seen as an affront which would rather be dealt with quickly and decisively. So before Mohammed Yusuf and his men could chart a course of action, which was to embark on demonstration across the state capital, Ali Modu Sheriff had made a statewide broadcast that all forms of unlawful processions or unapproved processions should be put on hold forthwith. At that point, Mohammed Yusuf became suspicious that there probably was a mole in their midst. Otherwise, how was the governor able to calculate right that they were on the verge of disturbing his government? The governor's broadcast notwithstanding, the impending protest held as planned. But just like the protesters, the state government and its security machinery were ready. So at the gathering where Mohammed Yusuf was addressing the people of the state, security agents stormed there, released canister of tear gases into the congregation and shot sporadically into the air.
It led to pandemonium during which several of them went unconscious and Mohammed Yusuf, the leader of the organization, was taken away. The police took custody of Mohammed Yusuf when he was taken at the protest point. While he was in their custody, he never stopped talking. He kept on boasting that he would expose the government to the whole world such that there will be nothing left of the governor's credibility and even political aspirations. The statements emanating from the police cell were not going down well with the governor of the state and his emissaries. At the break of the third dawn of Mohammed Yusuf's arrest, he was found dead in the police custody. The reaction to that action varied from individuals to individuals as well as corporate entities and government establishment. Many have seen it as a bad omen in the brewing political issues in Borno State. When Mohammed Yusuf died, there was leadership tussle in the organization he championed. Two worthy fellows, Issa Gambo and Yusuf Tanko, were penciled down to succeed him. Amongst the organization members, there were strong suspicion that Issa Gambo was the mole in their midst. Hence, the generality of opinion favored Yusuf Tanko to succeed Mohammed Yusuf. In the end, the opinion of the majority prevailed and Yusuf Tanko was crowned Mohammed Yusuf's successor. Issa Gambo expectedly did not take it lightly. Hence, his faction in the group broke away and moved down south. Just as Issa Gambo and his men were moving down, Yusuf Tanko and the remnant of the group were moving up north. When they arrived at their destination, the challenge the death of Mohammed Yusuf posed to the organization and how to deal with the development were uppermost in their agenda. In some of the meetings they arranged, they were quick to reach consensus that the first action they needed to take in that regard was to free their members still holed up in Bauchi prisons. Those were the people of the group that were arrested at the scene where Mohammed Yusuf was arrested and subsequently killed. They perfected strategy to achieve that. In some of their deliberations, they could not fathom why the government that opposed to agreements, salient and entrenched agreement with the masses of the states, leaders of the masses of the state, to carry out people-oriented government would at the same time violate such oaths that were taken with the holy book of Muslims, the Quran, and even went further to kill such people. Because earlier, all known loyalists of Mohammed Yusuf in Alimodu Sheriff government, especially the Commissioner for Information, had been eliminated. So, in taking the decision to storm Bauchi State with a view to free their members in various prisons in the state capital, two agreements were reached. One was to notify every Muslim faithful in the metropolis about their impending action. And second was to ensure that no stone was left unturned in achieving their aim. Before the slain Muhammad Yusuf faithful rose from their meeting, they renamed the organization Jama'atu al-Sunnah Dawatu wal Jihad to Boko Haram. In their reckoning, it was a name better suited for the cause at hand. For Boko, in Hausa language means Western education. Haram, on the other hand, means prohibition or sacrilege. Putting the two words together, one will arrive at Western education, prohibition, or sacrilege, or Westernization is a sacrilege. As far as they were concerned, it was the Western ways of their leaders in the North that are taking precedent over their religious calling and leanings that were making them to be the kind of politicians they were, which they considered as a no-go area. Boko Haram members arrived Bauchi on Friday, as earlier designated. They stopped at a major mosque and observed Friday prayer, the regular Friday prayers, or rather the Friday Jumat service with them. When the prayers were over, the then leader of the group, Yusuf Tanko, addressed those that stayed behind to hear them out, for they had earlier notified the leader of the praying mosque for that purpose. Their statements were short and precise. They wanted nobody to go near the prison areas after 3 p.m. Secondly, they admonished the Muslims still remaining in the mosque that had businesses in the metropolis to pack their things and close for the day. By the time they were leaving the mosque, everywhere, everyone around was running helter-skelter. It did not deter them in any way. They stormed the prison yard premises in no time, killed the security operatives, provided security for the place, and thereafter went to the impregnable gate, placed the improvised explosive device made of highly inflammable petroleum products tucked into cylinder gases, and shot at them at vantage position. That saw to the blowing up of the impregnable gate of the prison yard, which allowed them to go into the facility and freed everyone there. When they were done, they majestically made their way out of the town. In no time,
News of the prison break had spread far and wide, transcending Bauchi State. The first action of the governor was to call the factional leader of the group, Issa Gambo, to order. As far as he was concerned, he was a mole in the group to keep tab on their developments, to keep tab on the activities going on in there, and to report same promptly. How come he wasn't aware of the prison break and its associated consequences? As a result of that, he was considered an accomplice. The federal government's attitude towards what had happened in Bauchi State was that of curiosity. Feelers from the staters were such that a political conundrum was evolving in the two states of Bauchi and Borno State. Hence, the then president, late Umar Musa Yar'Adua, had opted for a commission of inquiry to unravel the political imbroglio steadily brewing in the two states.